Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I hope you feel comfortable here. Before we introduce our first guests who are on their way, allow me to begin with the invocation to the Gayatri mantra. So if you know it, you're welcome to join along with me. Om Bhur Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om. Thank you. And as we continue to await our first Sangis to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as being one in which everyone is welcome, regardless of background, identity, orientation, or how you are feeling at this moment. May this space be one in which we can safely express ourselves and explore the diversity of each other's experiences. May we come together as fellow students of life to uplift each other, relate in one another's experience, and share positive sentiments. Om. I trust that those who are joining now are feeling comfortable as they are allowed to be here, and despite whatever circumstances you may be facing at this moment, know that this too shall pass. And hello, dear Jarrett. Thank you for blessing us with a heart meet so early on in our Sangha today. How are you, my friend? And Radhe Radhe. Namaste, dear book. You are welcome to share what's on your mind. And Elizabeth, thank you for being here. You know that in the world there can be lots of darkness, and any amount of brightening each other's days is worth it. Sometimes it is the dark which allows us to find our inner light. Namaste, dear Bubbles. Jai Ram. Welcome back, Jarrett. You are doing well. I'm happy to hear that. And taking a hiatus from social media is always healthy too. Hello, Wow. Hello, Angel. I am well. Thank you for asking. Hello, Fupa. No, I'm not Indian. I am Canadian in my nationality. I did just get on just a few minutes ago, dear Angel. You're right on time, and I am honored to be able to show something of yours in a little bit too. Namaste, dear Fupa. Hello, Stephen. Now, I have a question of the day for you all if you are interested in exploring this with me. Today I'm wondering, what is something wonderful that you see possible for you in the near future? What's a possibility in your life that is on its way or has already come and yet to unfold? What's something wonderful that is making its way to be a part of your life? Thank you, dear Jarrett, for the travel with you too. Very kind of you. Never expected but always appreciated. Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome, dear Kelly. Stephen, you share a new car to you. How wonderful is it to have the ability to drive to people you want to see, places that need you there. I'm happy to hear that. Dear Kelly, you share your third grandchild within the next 2 weeks. Oh, how wonderful that is. I love that. Elizabeth, you share a smile from a stranger. I like that answer a lot too. And dear Daydream, you share happiness. I agree. This is always a possibility. Dear Angel, you share independence. We were talking about that, finding ways to discover the potential within. And dear Bubbles, you share a lovely evening relaxing with your dog is as far ahead as you're willing to attach yourself to for the sake of the question. I had wondered how we would find ways of bringing it back to the present moment as the fundamental reality. But still, this moment would not exist without the previous moment, and this moment is a stepping stone for the next two. Dear Brave Bella, you share the possibility of seeing your best friend. How wonderful. Wonderful? That's a new word I just made. Wonderful. I was going to say wondrous and wonderful at the same time. And thank you, dear Chelsea, for the heart me you sent too. That's very kind of you. Jaya Sitaram. Welcome back, dear Sufi Siddhu. Nice to see you too. And Mahina, you share harvesting the vegetables that your grandchildren and you planted in the spring. Oh, I love that. You get to see all your hard work pay off. Mother Nature doing her job, growing whatever is planted in her soil. Yeah. Happy to hear some devotion from Sweet Potato Cow for form of the divine that speaks to their heart. Dear Jessica, you share traveling to see your long-distance boyfriend. Oh, how precious it is to be able to see someone which you've experienced so much space in between, and yet you've been becoming so much closer on other levels during that time. I'm happy to hear that. And dear Jarrett, thank you for your 2017 bracelets as well. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Dear S, hello. You wonder if I have hair advice? Just let it be. Let it grow, let it grow. You get to eat the tasty vegetables too. That's kind of the biggest part, isn't it, dear Bubbles? Yeah. And Sue, you share working/helping new clients. I love how you look forward to that. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you, dear Sylvie, for the rose you sent too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Elizabeth, you share that what's great about the future is that everything can be wonderful if you want it to be. And it can be quite the challenge that I recommend to find something wonderful about everything. Even if it's dark and terrible on the surface, what possibilities does it give rise to that are wonderful? Dear Raisin Brand, you ask, where should you keep your attention when chanting? Well, on the meaning of what you're chanting, of course. What it means to you. If you're working on various energy centers in the body, then you choose the one you want to work on and put your attention there. But most importantly, we pay attention to the meaning of the sounds. Thank you, dear Risi, for the heart me you sent to. Hari Om Tat Sat. Carlitos, you share that you've been sober for a year. I'm so happy to hear that too. What a journey. I'm sure it's been a difficult one with many highs and lows, and the fact that you are still here, able to say that you've persevered, is a monumental task. and one that shines the light for the path forward for people who wish to embark on the same journey themselves. Thank you, dear Sue, for your finger heart as well. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Dear Angela, you are looking forward to cooler temperatures, autumn leaves, and cozy sweaters. I like that. Yes, I do need to shave probably tomorrow, dear Sylvie. Dear Sky Guardian, you see a mala of 1008 in the near future. Hey, you are intuitive. Raisin Brand, you ask, how do you pronounce the Sanskrit R? Is it like a little tap of the tip of the tongue? Yes, I believe they call that an alveolar tap. Just at the hard palate with the back of the tongue in a retroflex position. It's believed that the semi-vowels of Sanskrit, which R is included, all have the quality of rajas to it, which is passion. And when it comes to speech, that means we add a vibration to it. In modern times, many native speakers of other Indian languages have lost the vibration of the semi-vowels. As such, the vibrating w has become more like the English W, w. And so the rolling quality of the R has become just like a tap. But I believe that in Vedic times, all of the semi-vowels had a distinct vibration. So I think if we dial back time far enough, you'll hear the rolling R in rajas. Thank you, dear Angela, for your finger heart as well. Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Dear Fun to Watch, you are looking forward to a visit from your son whom you haven't seen in 3 years. That is quite a time to spend away from a son, a child, and I also look forward to this reunion for you. I agree, dear Angel. I love the answers everyone is sharing. And Crossfires, a wonderful possibility for you is some rain and cooler weather would be nice and wonderful, yes. Dear Kyle, you share some uplifting sentiments again. You once worked in a bakery to make ends meet. You really needed the dough. Thank you, dear Sylvie. Dear Jack, you don't know about the near future as you've been caught up in a trap of uncertainty for nearly 2 years. And you're not alone with that. Many people go through periods of feeling low and depressed or anxious, and it's natural to feel like there's nothing we can be certain of. However, it's not that there's something certain. There's something possible. In fact, possibility is really just the positive synonym for uncertainty. When something is uncertain, that means anything is possible. And with that possibility comes good things too. And we can be mindful of those just as much as we are mindful of other possibilities too. Dear Elizabeth, you ask, what is something wonderful that I see possible for me in the near future? I'll let you know after I make sure I get through all of your wonderful comments too. But thank you, dear Jared, for your subscription again. You know I'm always happy to have you here and continue on with my journey in parallel with yours. Namah Shivaya. Dear Punk, you share that your future is continuing to prioritize your health. You're down 100 pounds. Wow. I trust that you're on a journey of making this body into a beautiful instrument for ourselves to express it. There's so much beauty always there, and our body is the vehicle which gets to bring that beauty out, no matter what shape or size we are. But considering our health is important as well, as good health means that we get to share more beautiful moments with each other. I'm happy for you. Dear Raisin Brand, you ask, when would I use Om compared to Aum? Or is there not really a difference? Alright, Sky Guardian, plug your ears. Well, it is spelled O-M. That is the traditional spelling in Sanskrit. Well, to be absolutely clear, it is spelled like this, which is in Devanagari. And the closest we can really get to English to that is maybe an O with a diacritic over it, representing it being prolonged, and then an M with a dot over it, representing a pure nasal sound. I don't know if you can see that at the top of your screen. But for thousands of years, it has been chanted Om, O-M. And there is no H in there. The word is made up of 3 primordial sounds, and you're welcome to check out my video I made about it. The first sound is the akar, which is by itself pronounced ah. Then there is the ukar, which is pronounced by itself oo. And then there is the umkar, which is pronounced But according to ancient rules for Sanskrit grammar, these 2 initial sounds fuse together to form O. And if you notice in the vowel space, A and U are extremities. A is produced at the back of the throat. U is produced by the lips. Halfway in between in the balance of A and U is O. Ow, ow. A represents beginnings, creation. U represents pervading existence that comes from that. And so O is the balance between creation and preservation. And then finally, the at the end represents finality, dissolution. Some scholars believe that the reason this so-called Sandhi rule exists of A and U joining together to form O is an artifact of a previous time in which it was pronounced separately. So there has been a resurgence in modern times of the Vedic pronunciation of Aum. So you may hear some people returning to that pronunciation or spelling too. But this is going way back in tradition, since it has been Om for at least 2,000 years. Anyway, the point is to meditate on what the sounds mean and worry not as much about the exact pronunciation, as long as you understand that this word has significance towards the creation, preservation, and destruction of this whole universe, and it is pervaded by an impersonal reality known as Brahman. Then getting in touch with that mantra is serving its purpose. If you want to know more about that, you can check out the video I made recently about this word. I would like to now remove my drawing of Om at the top, but it doesn't appear to be letting me. So we might have to just keep Om up there. Oh boy. Oh, now I'm just adding more to it. Jeez Louise. Anyway, I'm going to pause our question of the day there for now. So thank you for exploring it with me. Thank you, dear Mahina, for your heart me as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dear Stephanie, you share that it sounds like when someone did something naughty at school and the class would say, Om. Well, you must have a very spiritual class because it's an auspicious sound. Dear Raisin Brand, you ask, do I know why both Sh, Shi and Ram are both fire elements even though they sound nothing alike? The qualities of sound are different. However, the place of articulation is the same. The retroflex position corresponds to the element of fire, as does all other places of articulation. Back of the throat represents space, the palate represents air, and the retroflex position represents fire. Both the R and the retroflex sibilant sh are produced in the same position. But you are correct of noticing the different qualities of sound. We just have to understand that every sound has two components, a place of articulation and a quality of sound. The place of articulation for both represents the element of fire, but the qualities for both these sounds are different. The quality of sh is just rajas purely, which represents activity, movement. But for ra, we add the voice to it, which is sattvic, which adds balance, has a harmonizing effect to it. So it's the same place of articulation, same element, but different guna, which is the energy which animates the elements. A very good question. All right. Dear Sky Guardian, you remind me that I didn't answer my own question, that's right. What's something in the near future that I look forward to? Well, my birthday is coming up soon, and I love the time I get to spend with my family during then. So I'm happy for that. Dear Cat, yes, that's right. You know of the third quality, which is tamas. A very, very wise audience. I'm honored. Tamas in speech corresponds to the quality of occlusion. So a tamasic sound produced in the region of fire would be like ta. We don't have the equivalent sound of that in English. We actually have very few retroflex sounds in English. Only R would come close, but even then in English we approximate it. But yeah, the sound t would be a tamasic sound produced in the region of fire. Radhe Radhe, dear Magdalene. Happy to have you here. Dear Sylvie, you share that yours was yesterday the 19th. I remember you mentioned that on Monday, I believe. And I'm very grateful that I got a chance to wish you a happy birthday. I hope that lots of love came your way, because the universe knows how much love that you give back to it. Yeah. Let's see, am I now able to to clear my scribblings at the top? Not quite yet. I guess they'll have to be there. Wow. Thank you, dear Amy, for the hand hearts you sent to allow me to give you some hand hearts. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. And dear Sylvie, thank you for your rose as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. Raisin Brand, you ask, if someone chants an earth element sound, can it be felt in all the bones in the body? I think vibration carries throughout our whole body regardless of the element. Yeah, definitely. Hello, dear auntie. Dear Sylvie, you wonder if I play an instrument. I am an instrument, aren't I? For the whole universe. We all are. But I have these little manjira. These are quite lovely sounds too. Thank you, dear Sylvie, for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hello, dear love. I am well. Thank you for asking. Now, I would like to share with you something fun. Let's see, I'm actually wondering if this will show up above or below our scribbles. Oh no! Well, now I've scribbled over top of it. Oh dear. I wanted to do not a guided meditation yet, actually. That was for later. Thank you for your technical difficulty patience. As yep, my software thinks I'm just eternally in this mode of drawing. I tell you what, I have a drastic measure. I can manually crash the program, and then when I restart, I will be able to connect back at the packet stream, delivering this live stream to you. It's gonna be a 1 in 100 shot, but hey, they don't make action movies just to tell you that it's not possible. Okay, drastic measure happening. 3, 2, 1 shot, but hey, they don't make action movies just to tell you that it's not possible. Okay, drastic measure happening. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I believe that worked. So I think my connection has returned. Thank you for your patience. And no scribbling anymore, thankfully. Okay. Yes, I did want to share something with you all. And allow me to set that up for you. As many of you know by now, I like to dedicate time and space during this live stream for what you all have to share, because I know that just expressing ourselves through the limited comment section is not enough to tell the story of our soul. So today I'd like to do another show and tell segment for dear Angel. And Angel is talented in being able to make little felt stuffed creatures, which are very interesting. And today she's made green eggs and yam. So I have to show you this. Allow me to bring it up on screen. And there's many different frames that we can look at. But, oh, actually I have to hide it just for a second so I can read to you what she wrote, and I'll show it to you again. So she wrote that this is green eggs and yam instead of green eggs and ham. I made the yam with big blue eyes like yam. I gave the yam a happy face and a heart nose to show how loving yam is. And I covered the yam in rainbow colors and rainbow beads and as eyebrows and all over the back of the yam, as well as rainbow stitches on the side. And I did a little rainbow on eggs as well. Her name is Eggs, as I also stitched in primary colors on her I made this cloud inspired by Yam's description of my last creature I shared on here, but instead of a piece of the night sky, it's the day sky, which we'll see too. Another little stuffed piece that's meant to represent the form and formless within human beings. So I'll bring it up on screen again. Now there's my sheet that I was reading from, where all of the responses get submitted to. Here are green eggs and yam. Very unique. And I'm just noticing that it says egg's name on it, just below the face. There's many different angles. Here's another one. Again, beautiful tapestry behind, and I love the beads on Angel's wrist, but that's not the main feature here, which is eggs. Oh, I love this. And there's another picture of Yam. I got my big blue eyes in there. Very sweet, and a heart nose. There's the backside of Yam. Very cute. I love all the stars around. And here's a side view of the stitches, the rainbow stitches that go all the way around. And here's a side view of eggs, so we can see the three-dimensional quality of the stuffing. Very puffy. And here's that cloud, piece of the day sky. I love that so much. And little cat mouse, or cat face, I meant to say. And boy, what cool eyes. I like that a lot. If you look closely on one of the eyes, it says made with love, which you can absolutely tell. And then here was that form and formless qualities that she had mentioned. This one's very bright pink magenta with black fluffy stitching around, it looks like. Or perhaps that's the backside too. Yes, that's right, the backside. How fun and how original. Love that a lot. And you can see that some of the parts glow in the dark too, which is really cool. I love that a lot. So thank you, dear Angel, for sharing green eggs and yam and some other stuffed creature friends. I very much appreciate you sharing that with us all. And thank you everyone for paying attention to something important to one of our Sanghis, dear Angel. And I'm happy that Angel is here to see all of the lovely comments sent her way. Thank you everyone. And again, anyone who would like to share something too, do check out the show and tell application form and the link tree in my bio, where you can drop images and audio files and videos, PDFs, things that are important to you. And I am honored to be able to share it with the world in what limited capacity I have. And it means the world to me to be able to do so for you. Alright, thank you, dear John F., for the heart me you sent as well. Radhe Radhe, and dear Auntie, thank you for your finger heart. There's one for you, and your quartet of roses. Om Dum Durgaye Namha. Thank you, dear Maria, for the rose you sent too. Radhe Radhe, and dear Sylvie, thank you for your rose. Hare Krishna. Jason, thank you for your heart me as well. Namaste. I am feeling relaxed indeed, dear Sylvie. And I'm not sure if I know how to pronounce your name, but thank you for sharing your faith with us, dear Nurdur Jesus. Please let me know if I can pronounce that better. I hope you know that this is a space for us to explore each other's experiences with an open mind, and I love how every tradition in the world provides something unique to the global discussion of what it means to be human and spiritual in general. I would love for you to share some parts of your faith that you feel are unique to the Christian path, and I invite others to share parts of their faith too, which are unique as well. I love my brothers and sisters around the world who are Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Sikh, who are Hindu, who are Jain, pagan, or of indigenous spirituality. I think there's truly one divinity which pervades this whole universe, and it gets expressed in various ways and throughout time, throughout the cultures all across the globe. Unfortunately, I will have to set boundaries because this is an all-inclusive space. If we are using words that are exclusive, meaning that we don't see the value in other people's faiths, then I will have to mute, but I don't want to have to do that. I hope we are able to find the truth in each other's experience and get along as one group of humanity, as we are certainly all on the right path together, going higher and higher every day. I hope that is understandable and respectable. And thank you, dear Maria, for the applause you sent too. Here are some claps your way as well. Om Mani Padme Hum. Dear Sylvie, you share that you appreciate every different belief, the difference in our beliefs. I think it adds to the diversity of the world. All right. Unfortunately, I will mute you for not heeding to my recommendations, but that's your choice, and I respect that. I invite you next time to share words of love and compassion and positivity, and I look forward to that from you in the future, as I know that's a possibility for you. Until then, best wishes. You're still allowed to be here in this space, of course. Now, as many of you know, I like to begin my live streams with a question of the day, and I'm happy we got to explore that together on the nature of wonderful possibilities that await us in the near future. No, I'm not muting you, dear Sylvie. You are always a boundless source of love and compassion, and I'm happy to have you here always. And then if we have something to share, I like to do a show and tell, and now there's a reading, since I like to start my lives with such introductory segments. We're almost done reading through The Hidden Power in Humans, which is about chakras and kundalini. We've actually gone through everything there is to know about chakras and kundalini. We're just at the last part of the book, where we're going through the Guru Parampara, the spiritual lineage of teachers that our author is a part of, Paramahansa Swami Maheshwarananda. So I hope you'll join me in listening about these great teachers. So we've gone through a couple of the teachers now. Sri Alak Puri Ji and his disciple Param Yogeshwar Sri Dev Puri Ji. We listened to the miracles associated with him. And now we are going to learn about his foremost disciple, which is Bhagwan Sri Deep Narayan Mahaprabhu Ji. This is the first one that we have a picture, a photograph of. We can see him holding some mala beads and a nice bright orange turban. He is the guru of our author. Let's learn about him. Bhagwan Sri Deep Narayan Mahaprabhu Ji was a pure divine incarnation of love and truth who lived from 1828 to 1963 in Rajasthan in northwestern India. There are many people still living who knew him and were the recipients of his miracles. And those for whom it was destined experienced realization and enlightenment. Through his spirit and his teachings, we could begin to understand what is truly important: self-control and self-knowledge. Sri Mahaprabhuji's arrival on earth was accompanied by wondrous events. His parents were profoundly religious and prayed constantly that a divine incarnation would be born on earth to help humans counter the deplorable conditions of the time and give spiritual guidance. One night, Chandan Devi Ji, Sri Mahaprabhuji's holy mother, had a divine vision in which it was announced that a divine soul would be born into their home as their son. Soon after this, a radiant light appeared in a dream one night, and 9 months later, she gave birth to a son whose birth was accompanied by numerous miracles. According to tradition, the parents consulted an astrologer who confirmed that a soul full of divine power had returned to the earth in this child. Through his grace, humans would be granted divine blessings and liberation from karmas. And he gave the child the name Deep, which means light. The boy spent the first years of life with his parents, even though he had a remarkable radiance that was noted by everyone he met. At the age of 5, his parents took him to a Sanskrit teacher for instruction, but soon Sri Mahaprabhuji was teaching his teacher based on the Sanskrit vowel A, which we talked about earlier. He expounded the qualities of God and the beginning and end of all things. In his youth, Sri Mahaprabhuji had already performed many miracles. When drought endangered the crops, he brought rain. When a plague of locusts threatened, he averted disaster. He brought several people back to life. His grace and mercy were unlimited. At 14 years of age, and in line with tradition, Sri Mahaprabhuji found his master, which we talked about last time, Sri Dev Puri Ji, who instructed him to build an ashram in the vicinity of Barikatu. Full of divine light and spreading his immense love to all living beings, Sri Mahaprabhuji lived and taught there. The ashram soon became a place of pilgrimage where people came to experience the spiritual power and blessings of Sri Mahaprabhuji. Even today, many people still come to feel the divine radiance that pervades this place. Sri Mahaprabhuji's wisdom and grace filled everyone who came to him. He blessed all equally. Before him, all were equal. Whether of high or low class, their souls were the soil in which he sowed the seeds of truth. Sri Mahaprabhuji set his teachings and divine message down in a number of wonderful songs called bhajans. which are a perfect expression of his divine love and wisdom. He taught Satya Sanatana Dharma, our true relationship with the divine. This is as understood as follows. The eternal truth has validity for the whole of creation. The entire universe is steered by unchanging laws, and there is only one foundation for the whole universe that is eternal, namely, God. The religions of the world merely represent the different paths that lead to the same goal. Therefore, every faith should be respected equally. Only right understanding of this unity in diversity leads to a universal spirit and peace in the world. At the beginning of 1963, Sri Mahaprabhuji told his disciples that he would leave the earth on the 5th of December that year. On this day, he said goodbye to all friends and followers. Then his soul left the body. Sri Mahaprabhuji's soul no longer has an earthly form, but he did not leave his devotees. His spirit is omnipresent, and the light he lit in the heart of his disciples can never be extinguished, just like the eternal divine flame of which it is a part. Before Bhagwan Sri Deep Narayan Mahaprabhuji left the earth, he handed over his work to his closest disciple, which was Paramahans Swami Madhavananda, whom is photographed here. And that is the guru of our author. But we'll learn about him next time. So thank you for listening. We'll pause our reading of The Hidden Power in Humans there for now. Namaste. And now, we may open our Sangha up to discuss whatever is on our hearts and minds. Thank you, dear Angela, for the rose you sent. Ram Ram, and dear Nunya, thank you for your heart meteor. Hare Krishna. Dear Flower, you had asked, why are cats so much better than people? They just calm your anxiety and love you unconditionally. One of the things I love about animals is that they just don't abide by human drama. All that really matters is that we take care of our responsibilities to each other, and then we enjoy the space which we coexist in. Despite a language barrier, we communicate through gestures of kindness, love, and trust. I have a lot of love and respect for my furry feline friends. Namaste, dear Meg. And welcome back, dear Jeff. Debbie Giddy, you share that you are new here and you wonder how often I go live. I try to go live every day unless I need to attend to my physical health or if my family needs me. Those things take priority for me. Otherwise, every day I try to go live. Dear Lena Bean, you share that you wish there were more humans like me. I don't. I'd go crazy if everyone was like me. I like the diversity of us all. But if there is anything possible that you see within me, know that that's a reflection of something within you too. And so all good that can be done is not unique to me, but the kinds of faults that I have, that is for me to work on, and so I take accountability for those. Thank you, dear Deanna, for your Heart Me and Team bracelet too. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. Welcome, spiritual vibes. Dear Evan, you ask, how do you turn it off? Well, if you're wondering how to turn off the mind, I'm afraid there is no off button for that. But we can change the channel. And we can change the channel until it's something a little more peaceful. Hello, dear born by lightning. Dear Jeff, you wonder, how old am I? In this body, I am 22. Do we have standby mode? Asks Evan. Sure, that's called sleeping. And hopefully you do that every night. Dear Mr. Mate, you ask, how do we know what Krishna wants in order to devote oneself? Very interesting question. See, Krishna is your higher self. And this is perhaps a fundamental distinction between Western religion and Eastern religion, is that in the East, the divine isn't something separate from you. It is the essence of your true nature. The essence of everyone's true nature. So abiding in your true nature is what it means to worship the divine in the East. And your true nature is that which has boundless compassion and love. This is by definition, because the being of all beings must be all-inclusive. There's no limitations. And so as we continue to let go of our limitations, like our impatience, like our greed, like our unnecessary mischief. Some mischief is always necessary. Our envy, our accumulation of material possessions. Or in terms of the positive, as we become more in tune with patience, compassion, trust, love, then this is all it means to be a devotee of the divine. Because all of those things are part of the divine. And devotion just means that we bring our awareness one-pointedly to those things so that we serve that essence of being within everyone and everything with equality and equity. That is the highest form of bhakti, of loving devotion, is to serve others. Because the divine exists in others as their potential and exists in you as the source to empower that potential. Om. Thank you, dear born by lightning, for your rose. Hare Krishna. And dear Kainards, thank you for your rose too. Jaya Satchitananda. This is something that I resonate with as well, dear Doom Knight. I believe this sentiment of serving the divine within everyone is at the heart of all faiths, but perhaps it has been forgotten in modern times or in the Western culture. But that's part of the story too. Story of humanity as we rediscover our potential. And dear Deanna, you share that in your native culture, the divine is all one. I love how that truth is still very much alive in your culture. And thank you, dear Noodle, for your octet of roses too. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And dear Jos, thank you for your 18 roses. Om Aing Saraswatyai Namaha. Hello, dear rocks. And that is a concern that we should definitely keep our mind, dear Deanna, that religiosity leads one into separation thinking, yet you still honor the path of choice. Absolutely. It's so important that we recognize everyone has a free will in the spiritual journey that they are on. And it may start for many people in a community which is structured, organized. And it may blossom from there into things that, who knows, is possible. But a danger of creating an exclusive community is that suddenly there is now a difference between those who are part of an in-group and those who are on the outside. And we elevate ourselves to such a level that we then look down on those around us. So I think it's always important for us to see each other as equal, regardless of the faith that we follow or the lack thereof. I like to say that my primary religion is humanity. Humanity is our uniting religion. The breath is our uniting prayer. And our inner light of consciousness is our uniting divinity. And thank you, dear Michael, for your hat and mustache. Yeehaw! Hari Om Tat Sat. I am grateful that people do see some qualities in me which they would like in a romantic or intimate partner. But I wish to be very clear that in this space I wish to create such a sacred bond that is not trespassed by looking for some kind of bodily relation. My goal is only to be a companion on the spiritual path, and so I do want to set boundaries where they have to be that right now I am married to the divine and none of you can get in the way of that. But that same divinity exists within you, and thus I revere that within everyone. Goodbye, dear angel. Namaste. Dear Mia, you ask, what do I suggest for a hangover? Well, to not drink. If you never want to struggle through a hangover again, the solution's obvious. Just don't drink in the first place. See, drinking does genuinely bring happiness, but it takes that happiness from tomorrow. So over the week, we experience the same amount of happiness, It's just that we can steal some of tomorrow's happiness to experience today. This is the nature of drugs and alcohol, is that we experience happiness from it, but then we go in debt to our future self. And so our future self experiences an absence of it. And there really is no way around that, because that would be like going to a bank and saying, hey, I would like to take out a loan for, $15,000. And then when the time comes to pay it back, and we ask, hey, is there any way I can just keep that pleasure without having to go through the pain of giving it back? And the bank account teller will tell you, no way, no way, Jose. That's the nature of debt. So the best cure is prevention, of course. And if we continue to understand that there's no such thing as creating happiness from a substance in which we do not go in debt to later, then we won't have to worry about paying it back. Nonetheless, there are some things you can do to let yourself off the hook, like forgiving yourself, giving yourself lots of space and love to heal during that time, since these substances do inflict harm on our body. That's partly why it feels so good. It's because our body literally goes into such a state of dismay that our brain is deprived of oxygen, and we feel so blissful in that state. But the highest state of consciousness is always a sober one, for sure. Make sure you are hydrating, getting vitamins, exercise, and the next night make sure you get as enough sleep as you can. You are welcome to ask a question at the end. Yes. I'm happy that I was able to provide some laughter in your life. Dear based user, may the rest of your day be as beautiful as you are. Thank you, dear Shakira, for your heart me as well. And Maria, thank you for your heart me too. Jai Sitaram. Holly Sopari, thank you for your heart me and trio of roses. Very kind of you and never expected. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Hello, dear Charlie. This fine day has been full of surprises for me, and I very much enjoy surprises. Unless I'm sleeping. No surprises, please. I went for a walk today in the sun, and it was lovely. Thank you, dear Mihina, for your quartet of roses. Radhe, Radhe. You're still powering back up the end. Take as much time as you need. In the meantime, why don't I read from another section of this short book? 108 Adages of Wisdom. In this book, we recount, 108 Adages of Wisdom from the Chan Buddhist master Sheng Yen. He comes from a Mahayana school of Buddhism in China. Let's explore another verse from Protecting the Spiritual Environment. This one reads, unpleasant encounters, unhappy situations, we must mend our minds, not other people's minds. Allow me to show you the comic that comes with it. Here we have a person standing before another, symbolized as a mirror. And the person in the mirror is saying, I am the only one who understands my problems. With the caption, adjusting your own mind. Second comic is none of your business. Adjusting another person's mind. We must mend our own minds, not other people's minds. A great reminder that we have no duty to solve the mental problems of others unless they offer and we feel comfortable sharing. But our primary duty is to mend our own mind. You'd be surprised just how productive it is to take care of our own mental health first and foremost. So much peace can be found there. Thank you for listening. I hope that passage was insightful for you. Thank you, dear John F., for your team bracelet. Radhe, Radhe. So looking out for the ends question. I will note to look out for it. I also look forward to it. Thank you, dear Sky Guardian, for sending this packet of wisdom for us to explore together. Dear Becca, you ask, how do we stay soft when we've had a hard life? I love that question. When you look across Mother Earth, she decorates herself in a myriad of ways. There are formless bodies of water and giant, hard mountains. If I ask the question, what would survive the sands of time, the oceans, or the mountains? You might think about just how large and firm a mountain is, how immovable, how impossible to remove. However, as our planet knows, through millions and billions of years, tectonic plates shift and these mountains have come and gone many times before. Some of them even blow up in a volcano. And you can imagine If you placed a really big bomb, it is conceivable. At this day and age, we could probably blow up a mountain. But the ocean? As soon as it has formed, it never went away. Only the land masses around it changed. Therefore, the border, its outline, has gone through various phases. But the ocean itself, the very fact that it is soft and malleable and formless, means that you could drop an atomic bomb in the middle of the Pacific and create a huge concavity of water as it gets vaporized. Massive waves in all directions. You might even create a dry ocean floor for just a moment. But after a few moments goes by, you will find that all of those waves subside, and that cavity that was carved out by the pressure gets filled back in by the ocean. And even all that vaporized water will rain back over the coming weeks. You cannot destroy the ocean in the same way you can destroy a mountain. These principles represent the feminine and the masculine. Is that solidarity of the masculine may survive in the short term, but in the long term collapse. But that fluidity of the feminine may experience destruction in the short term, but in the long term always finds equilibrium again. So how do we stay soft when we've experienced such a hard world? By recognizing that softness is the quality of immortality. That fluidity, adaptability, malleability means that regardless of what happens, we can always find ourselves level again. Thank you, dear Mermander, for your rose and heart me too. Very grateful that your lovely card and book arrived a few days ago. Radhe, Radhe. Alright, the question that the end had asked was, how could you ever forget me? Well, at one day we will have to say goodbye to each other's bodies and minds. It's a harrowing truth that all of our relationships in this life, even though they may last our whole life, are temporary. But that's at the level of the body and the mind, the level of consciousness, the level of the soul. There are no goodbyes, there are no hellos, because we've always been one. But the nature of the human mind it does not remember this fact so easily. Because in order to see the soul, we have to make our canvas perfectly still. Even if the sun shines bright every day, if the waters are rapid, we won't be able to see its reflection. There has to be a kind of stillness on the surface, pardon me, in order for us to see the reflection of what's high above. So too our mind is like the turbulent water. We will not be able to recognize our true self for as long as the waves of the mind are crashing. But if we can make that mind still, then we will be able to see the reflection of our true self high above. And thank you, the link below, for your trio of roses as well. Om Braum Hanumate Namaha. Dear Deanna, thank you for your bubble tea too. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. And Mermander, thank you for your subscription. I'm only grateful that I have this space at all to be able to share our journeys together. In whatever time we have allotted, thank you. Hare Krishna. Dear Giuliano, thank you for your heart me too. Namah Shivaya. And Fall, thank you for your heart me. Radhe Radhe. Dear Soul Invictus, you ask for my thoughts on Calvinism, but this is not something I have yet to experience. So you will have to express to me the meaning of this word, and then we can explore it together. Dear Becca, you had shared that everything is constantly changing, and so to accept that is to be more peaceful. Simply said, but in practice, this is near impossible. Indeed, however, the nature of impermanence is that everything in our life that appears to us will also have a time in which it disappears to us. All appearances, they first come, they teach us something, and then they go. If we can value the teaching in what short time we have everything, so much peace comes from the ability to let go. Thank you, dear Kev, for the heart me that you have sent as well. Ram Ram. Thank you, Batcave Joe, for your rose too. Jai Sita Ram. Dear Kev, thank you for your 13 roses too. Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Fall, thank you for your quintet of roses. Om Namah Karlim Ambita me Shrim Nadita me Hrim Devita me Aing Saraswatyai Swaha. Hello, dear SVG. Welcome, Sanmarkam Life. Dear Stormy Ariel, you ask, do I think of myself as an old soul? You share that I am wise in my age. I don't know what this idea of wisdom being correlated with age comes from. Have you spoken to a child of 5 years old about life? They are the most wise beings in the world, aren't they? It's so simple, their philosophy. You know, you ask a 5-year-old, what do you want to be when you're older? They say, happy. And that's life. You ask a child of 5 what they want to do today, they say, have fun. Nothing specific. I think with youth comes wisdom, and the younger we get, the wiser we get. You might say, what about those people that get older and wiser? It's just on the surface they're getting older, but on the inside they're getting younger. See, the soul can be described as both young and old. Because it's beyond time, has no beginning, has no end. Therefore, we can call it eternal. And those in touch with their eternity, we may call old. But we can also just as equally say that because the soul has no age, then it's also ever new, reborn in each moment. Those in touch with the ever newness of their soul we may call young. But youthfulness and oldness, they both arise from aspects of one's being beyond time. Truthfully, the age of my soul is the same as yours, same as my mother's, same as my cat's, same as your boss's, same as an aunt. There is only one soul that we all share, but many minds, many bodies, which go through different experiences that bring out the ever newness or the eternal. Same as the spiders on your balcony. That's right, Talon. The guy from TikTok, you ask, is eternity right now? In this moment? Let me check. I think I need to replace my watch's batteries. They run off of the vibrations of the air. This moment is just as beyond time as one's soul. In fact, if you look a little closer, you'll find no difference between your soul and the truth of this present moment. You are not something in this moment, nor is this moment something in you. You are one, inseparable companions, as Prakriti and Purusha. Dear Becca, thank you for the manifesting. I wish for you to manifest all the love in the world for everyone around you. May it be so. Jai Premananda. Thank you, May It Pitch, for your flowers and half a dozen finger hearts. There's some finger hearts for you. Bhuva swaha tatsavitur varenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yodnaf prachodayat. Om. And thank you, dear Anazek, for the heart me you have shared too. Harihi Om. Dear Mirmander, you ask, why is there fruit next to your names? Because you're so sweet, and your sweetness is able to propagate. That's the Gayatri mantra, dear Becca. But Kamadeva, the deity of love and attraction and lust and desire, Cupid. One of the reasons that Shiva is depicted as dark is due to the story of Kamadeva, whom appeared behind a tree while Shiva was meditating. And Kamadeva, being equivalent to Cupid, he pulled out an arrow, went to shoot Shiva in the heart. But before he could let go of the drawstring, Shiva's third eye opened, and out came a laser beam, which completely turned Kamadeva to ashes in that moment. And he walked up to Kamadeva, and he picked up the ashes, and he smeared them all over his body. And so Shiva is always seen with ashes on his skin. One of the many reasons he appears as dark blue. Of course, the story is an allegory for the kinds of desires that arise on the spiritual journey. Shiva being our inner consciousness, and our third eye being our inner eye of wisdom, of knowing. We use that and the energy which comes from that to burn our own desires to ashes and then wear them on our skin to show everyone else what we're capable of. No more devas ever approached Shiva with that intention. Thank you, dear Silent Storm, for your rose and heart me. Dear Isobel, you ask if I'm any closer to being able to visit India yet. Well, right now, I am still open to the prospect. There just has yet to be an opportunity that has opened up that makes the most sense for me at this time. And in the meantime, also, I'm prioritizing being with my family. Without going into details, my family is going through some traumatic things, and so I feel a responsibility to be with them during this time. And I can also continue to work on my physical and mental health until I embark away from home. Hello, dear Gio. Thank you, dear Peter, for your pair of roses. Radhe, oh Radhe. And Val, thank you for your heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. That's right, dear Sanmar, come life. He was also known as Nilkanath because he swallowed poison in order to protect others, and it turned his throat blue. You share that Ganesha never removed any of your obstacles. But do you know what Ganesha symbolizes? The second Anthakarana, which is the buddhi, the faculty of discrimination, viveka. It is through that viveka that obstacles on our path are navigated. So anytime you've been in a situation, and through the power of your buddhi, through the power of the intellect, we were able to remove them from our path, and that is Ganesha. Thank you, Anazek, for your finger heart. Here's one for you too again. And dear Haley, thank you for your tiny tiny. Dear Nunya, thank you for your TikTok and Gigi as well. Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Tone Reds, you share there's a metal song you like called Maha Kali. What is her story? There are many stories surrounding Ma Kali. But in Kashmir Shaivism, she is regarded as Parabrahman, the ultimate reality in its highest form. To understand her nature, we have to recognize that in the yogic philosophy, there are two primordial forms which arose from one. From one arose a split between Prakriti, nature, and Purusha, consciousness. And there is a video I made about Prakriti and Purusha, if you'd like to know. They form the archetypal basis for the feminine and the masculine. For the feminine, it's Prakriti, it's Mother Nature, it's the whole universe in all her energy. For the masculine, it's Purusha, the seat of consciousness, of witnessing, the interspace. The role of the feminine is that she is actually what is producing this whole universe. Although we refer to the Holy Father as the creator, actually it's more correct to say that the feminine is the creator. She is also the preserver and the destroyer, because it is through the natural laws of Mother Nature that all of creation, preservation, and destruction happens. Kali represents that from the perspective of darkness, which means that this idea of the divine feminine as being the creator, the preserver, the destroyer, this is something that is dormant as a realization. It lies in the dark for many people. In our culture, especially in the West, we do not see the feminine as creators, preservers, destroyers, as much as we do the masculine. And so that aspect of hers lays in the dark. Kali represents just that, the coming to realize that, in some sense, God is feminine in her creation, in her preservation, in her destruction. Now that's not to say there's no room for the masculine at all. It's just that that has been what's been popular for the how many centuries. But in this age, there is another possibility for us to realize, and that's Kali. And so Maha Kali, the great Kali, is her ultimate form as being Brahman, the very source of all possibilities. I think it's a very powerful idea, and certainly one that will bring rise to many energies within your system and within those around you. It's also a very controversial one, so good to be mindful of the cultural differences. Linguistically, Kali means the dark one. It also means the temporal one, since Kala refers both to the darkness of space and the enduring nature of time. Space and time is what Kala means. Kali is the feminine nominal form of that. Goddess of space and time. Now, thank you, dear Isabella, for your quartet of roses that I have yet to honor. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear Deanna, thank you for that rose a few minutes ago. And Fal, thank you for another 10 roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear Jay, thank you for your paper crane. Om Kring Kalikaed Namaha. And dear Gio, thank you for your bubble tea and your trio of finger hearts. Here, I can make a trio of finger hearts for you. Thank you. Namaskaram. And Isabella, thank you for another trio of cloud breads too. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear Sylvie, for your heart me and team bracelet. Dear Talon, you share that maybe Kali was black. She is depicted as having dark skin, black like midnight. But her darkness refers to not what's on the outside, but what's on the inside. Our own innate repressed tendencies and energies. For example, every one of us at some point knew the inside of our mother's womb as Kali, as dark, as atemporal, as our space for life to begin. Thank you, dear Separatio, for your pair of fires as well. Om Praum Hanumate Namaha. Dear Becca, you ask about a certain spiritual figure that I mentioned I was going to meet in Seattle back in May. But no, I have since stopped associating, talk about some alliteration, with such a spiritual teacher. I'm very grateful for all the things that I've learned from them, but someone approached me who was previously under their guidance and expressed concerns about people being taken advantage of physically, and I'm referring to the sanctity of our own bodies. And although it is just something I've heard, I have no direct experience of this, and I do believe in forgiveness. It's not something I would like for you to be indirectly associated with, everyone, since whom I get my insights from matter to you, especially in case any of you potentially get taken advantage of. And if even there was a 1 in a million chance of that being true, then I still don't want to risk that for any of you. And so I had decided to not associate with that spiritual teacher, just in case, as a preventative measure for potential harm. Thank you, dear Usha Bai, for your beautiful hand hearts. And your trio of tiny tinies as well. Yippee! Dear Neon Jello Pack, you share that you struggle with imposter syndrome, that you are uncomfy sharing yourself and your work on this app. How do I do it? Oh, I deal with it constantly. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, being mindful of how you appear to others is so important for creating such an authentic space for personal growth. You know, I'm constantly making sure that, you know, the beautiful compliments that I receive don't ever get to my head, and that we look at each other as equals, even though I may literally be the host of this space. And you are in the comment section. I truly feel like everyone here has an equal voice in the conversation, of course, taking into consideration the fact that the method of expression on my end is very different than the method of expression on your end. I try to be aware of my faults, that I'm not perfect, and, you know, I shouldn't pretend to be. I'm definitely not on any of the same ways equivalent to any of the great spiritual teachers that have come before that I draw inspiration from. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a voice as students too. And every day I try to become a better spiritual student with you all. And I think as long as I'm willing to accommodate others, then who cares what other people think, you know? I'm happy to have this space. I'm very grateful for it. But yeah, it's always something that we keep in mind. And I make mistakes every day, and I hope to learn from them. That's for sure. I remind myself that anything good that happens is a miracle. Even if it comes out of my mouth. They're not my words, they're yours. They're what you inspired in me. And any positive change that happens in your life, that's a potential that was already there. I'm only honored to become witness to it, truthfully. Thank you, dear Ragnhildur, for your swan. I think that's very beautiful. Soham Hamsa. It is an opportunity for growth. Absolutely, dear Neon Jello Pack. Thank you, Anna Zek, for your 10 roses too. Om Som Somaya Namaha. And Sylvie, thank you for your rose too. Om Sum Suryaya Namaha. Dear Sanmar Kam Life, you ask, who is my most revered Guru? The one within you. All of you. That teach me something new every day. Dear Olivia, you ask if I know BTS? The Backstreet Boys? No, wait, that's not the right boy band. They're a K-pop group, right? And because South Korea has the mandatory enlistment in the military, I think maybe some of them are right now in the military or something. I'm not that familiar, but clearly I am a little bit. I know that they bring joy to a lot of people, and I love that. I see how happy people are to listen to their favorite artists, and it makes me happy to see their joy. Dear Kirby B, you ask, do I have any idea what this emptiness you feel within you is? Emptiness. Think of it as spaciousness. It's the same phenomenon. Emptiness and spaciousness. The difference is how we feel about it. On one hand, emptiness implies that something's missing. But spaciousness means that we're perfectly open for whatever can come. So I hope one day that emptiness turns its face to you, whispers in your ear that I am not missing anything. I am whole in the spacious presence I offer for you. I am open. Dear Sun Markam, you share the tamasic nature of sleep is taking over you. That's quite alright. We live as human beings, the three gunas will always appear before us. May you rest deeply. Recognize yourself as not the waker, dreamer, nor deep sleeper, but the Turiya, the fourth and beyond. Dear Maddie, you ask, what is my personality type? You know, don't think people have personality types. And this is in my opinion. No disrespect. But I believe we're all dynamic creatures, and the kind of personality that gets expressed depends on our circumstance and our journey of life. And depending on what happens next, our personality will evolve to accommodate that situation too. Perhaps there are qualities that may exist in anyone at any given time, but truthfully, every part of our body, of our mind, is in constant flux, and I shan't make the claim we are limited by the labels we find expressing ourselves at this moment, but the truth of our highest self is beyond any label, beyond quantification, categorization. You have infinite layers of your being. It just so happens that not all of them can be expressed in one time, in one life. Good night, dear Sun Markam. As spiritual beings, we have innumerable contradictory elements, because the truth is that we are both strong and weak. We are both patient and impatient. We are both in love with the whole world and having problems with every part of it. We are both masculine and feminine. We are both big and small. we are living contradictions. The nature of a contradiction doesn't speak to something wrong. It just speaks to a dynamic nature. One side is facing outwards at all times and another inside, and these faces, they continue rotating through the dimension of time. But at our heart, we are one, undivided and changeless. Thank you, dear Isabella, for your trio of roses. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Vevi, thank you for your paper crane. Radhe or Radhe. Thank you, dear Gabriella, for your heart me too. Jai Sitaram. Light and dark, confident and insecure, safe and yet vulnerable, proud and humble. Dear Billy, you had shared that feeling empty is like opening your arms for a hug. Feels vulnerable, but leaves you open to receive. How beautiful. From one side, it's astonishing that there is something rather than nothing. But from the other side, it's astonishing that we could even be astonished by such a simple fact. Because nothingness is precisely the best spot for everything to come. Because in that nothingness is infinite possibility. There are no restrictions, no limitations. No one saying you can't do this, you can't do that. Nothingness means that anything can happen. In that nothingness we find analogies of emptiness. So too in our life there are periods in which we feel empty. But just like that nothingness, before which everything comes, this emptiness is fertile grounds, absolutely anything to be possible. Dear Kirby B, you share that the emptiness is painful somehow. Some people say that this universe began in laughter. Other people say in tears. All I know is that beginnings are always emotional. And sometimes you can't tell the difference between laughing and crying, as they are more similar than different. And I like your question, Godanzor. What is nothingness, though? Only that which can be described in terms of that which it is not. Nothingness, etymologically, is that which is no thingness. And if it sounds like I am saying whatever comes in my head, then you're right. Because that means I'm present with you. If I was recalling something from a previous time, I wouldn't truly be speaking from the heart now, would I? Nothingness is that which is not, which means that we cannot understand what it is in terms of anything that appears to us in the form of the five senses or mind. It is the absence of sight. You may call that darkness. It is the absence of sound. You may call that silence. It is the absence of feeling. You may call that stillness. Yet all of those things are not merely an absence, because they also have a kind of presence. All songs first begin in silence. All light first comes from darkness. And all dances first begin in stillness. If this means anything to you, then you know the power of nothingness as being the originator of all that is and will be. Thank you, dear Usha, for the rose you shared too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dear Samra, you aptly point out that nothing doesn't seem so scary when you see it that way. Nothingness seems so unusual, seems so foreign from our experience, since everything we experience comes in the form of something. But that is true on the objective end of experience. But the subjective end, on the side of the experiencer, you will find yourself to already be immersed in a kind of no-thingness. In fact, that's practically the definition of a subject, that which you are, as a perceiver. It means that you are that which is distinct from the object, an object being a synonym for things. That which is not an object, that which is no thing, is a subject. The one doing the experiencing, the witnessing, in that way. Lest we be scared of our own nature, we are that no-thingness. Thank you, dear Gabriella, for your 50 roses. Radhe, Radhe. Dear Batcave Joe, you share that the universe having an edge seems more scary to you too. I would be scared of that too, because that would mean that the universe isn't the universe. In its most original essence, universe means all that is. All that is has no edge, because an edge implies a boundary where its identity ceases, and therefore something else remains beyond. But anything else would be a part of that everything. If it's a thing, it must be a part of everything. Therefore, a universe can have no end, no edge, because that would mean it is no universe. Now, we may use the word universe to mean something different than what we originally meant, such as why we now use the word multiverse and now omniverse. But the totality of reality, whatever we call it, is surely that without boundaries and is all-inclusive. Nothing more remains to be found beyond that which is one with all. Right you are, dear Kelly. You are no thing at all. See, the social justice movement to not objectify people, that's a philosophical point, that you are not an object. You are not a thing. Your true nature is beyond the objective world. You are the supreme subject to whom the whole world of objects appears. We may subjectify you as the source, the light, and the witness of all that is, has been, and will be. Thank you, dear Kristen, for your Sage the Smart Bean. I'm a big fan of this smart bean. This is a new gift for me. Very fun. We are all smart beings. Human beings. Om Dum Dargaye Namaha. Dear Samra, you ask for any ideas on how to help get rid of material items, a recovering hoarder. See, no one truly gets rid of anything, because that implies that there's a space in which you are not. Yes, we have a body, we have a mind that has borders and limitations. But the nature of your being extends far beyond them, into your loved ones, into your country, into your occupation, into your special interests. In fact, into the whole of the universe, you will find yourself. So do not think of it as taking something you have and getting rid of it. Think of it as extending a part of yourself to another, where it may be used by a different part of your true nature as the universe. We are the universe. Remember that. Not like we woke up and went, wow, what are you? As separate from me. All of this stuff, everything we know, is also a part of this thing we experience called the universe. Somehow or another, we got this idea that we're somehow different from it. That human beings are somehow not the universe. Even though we are born from it, experience nothing but it, and ultimately return back to it. There can be nothing else but this universe which we are a part of. We are the universe, coming to its senses, awakening, and realizing, I am. The difference between you and me is only at the level of the surface. That I have a different body than you. But We're part of the same entity. We're part of the same universe. That is our essential nature. Therefore, it's not for us to accumulate things in separation from other parts. The resources on this planet are finite. And because we're all part of one life, and just like all the resources in our body gets distributed to each cell, so we have a name for a kind of cell that tries to accumulate everything just for itself. Sometimes it happens in our body that one of our cells become divergent and takes the body's resources. And surgery or other means have to be used to remove that cell. That's called cancer. When parts of our body feel like they should be independent, that's cancer. So too, our role as part of our ecosystem is to be like a cell, and the whole ecosystem is only functioning properly when we consider ourselves a part of it. Which means that everything I have is yours. Any way in which our collective system gets more happiness, more use, more love, more help out of sharing this with you, that's yours. Thank you, dear Kristen, for the jolly the joy bean. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Ice out and isolate. Thank you for wishing me well. All my best wishes for you too. Dear Samra, you love to reuse, recycle, and finding someone who needs them helps. I'm happy to hear that. And reuse and recycling is a beautiful thing we can also do with our resources. Dear Doomanite, you share that you're a recovering minimalist. It's very funny. Yes, dear Bubbles, I like your quote from the Bhagavad Gita. Brahman offering Brahman into the fire of Brahman. Dear Becca, you share that I have probably answered this 1,000 times, and I hope to answer it 1,000 more times. But has hardship contributed to my wisdom? Of course. In fact, anyone who's lived an easy life is probably not wise at all. Why do I have so much confidence in saying that? Because wisdom means that you found a solution to some problem. You cannot know the solution without the existence of a problem. Like that prayer, we prayed the Lord for wisdom. May you bless us with problems to solve. It's the challenges that we go through in life that are not just sufficient for understanding deep aspects of our existence, but necessary. There can be no other way. It's not like there's a choice. We gain wisdom in this way, but not going through any kind of strife or challenge. Or we can do so directly. No, the only way to gain wisdom is by going through challenge. And this is why great sages before us go through penances voluntarily. And there's something very specific I wish to point out. That this is voluntarily. In modern times, we have forgotten the voluntary nature of penance, and so it's become a form of punishment for religions around the world. But originally, the idea of taking vows where you maybe don't eat on certain days, or you withstand really cold temperatures, or you stay up on certain nights of the year, or you eat certain foods and not others. We have forgotten that this was a choice that was made to voluntarily go through challenge so that wisdom comes from it. But nowadays it's become written in the book that you have to do these things to be religious, as if you're going to get punished if you don't do it, or you are being punished because you're such a bad soul and you deserve this, or whatever. But this idea of austerity, where a spiritual aspirant consciously goes through challenges so that they may learn something of it, is a very powerful way to accelerate oneself on the spiritual journey. But for all of those whom are already going through such challenges, we don't need any more, do we? And therefore it's not necessary. In the same way that someone who's struggling with their physical health absolutely is not expected to do fasting. Someone who is struggling to put on weight is not expected to burn calories with ridiculous exercise regimes. Someone who knows already what it's like to go through not having a roof over your head doesn't have to do ice baths in the morning, because that lesson is already learnt in another way, or they are learning it. So I hope that all that unnecessary suffering that is associated with religion and other traditions we see as something voluntary, and we can let go of in other ways. But for the circumstances that are already challenging in our life, let us use those as our austerities. Regardless of what they are, may we find strength. May we find wisdom. May we find patience. May the results of all of these challenges be virtue. Welcome, dear Echo Leaf, and thank you for your trio of roses. Radhe, oh Radhe. Dear Becca, you clarify. So some unnecessary suffering is self-punishment. No one deserves to be punished. Sometimes we may deserve the space to take accountability, and when we set boundaries with ourselves, or when others set boundaries with us, it may feel like we're getting punished, but space of accountability just is a painful one by nature. And we learn to heal and make do with what we got. Discover our own independence. But some austerities can be very helpful on the spiritual path, like intermittent fasting. The reason being, ultimately, is that without effort, we live in such a state where we are taking instructions from our mind. Somehow, our mind has convinced us that we are the servants of it. And so when the mind says, I'm hungry, I want ice cream, we go, oh, I have to do everything I can to please my mind and make sure that it gets some good ice cream right now. But then somewhere along the spiritual path, we wake up and go, wait a second. Why have I been letting my own mind boss me around? Who are you, mind? And how long have you been doing this? And what am I separate from you? And how can we become friends? How can I give you instructions so that we may do wonderful things with the world and not feel like we have to get anything back? Because so far, dear mind, I have listened to all your requests. I have gotten all of these things. I've smoked how many cigarettes, downed this many bottles of wine. I've called out this many people with words of anger. And yet, I am still not happy. So something must change, O mind. Either I am your servant or I am your master. And it appears to me that you have been a terrible master. It's time for me to take the reins. And the mind goes, no! Please, anything but that. And so there's a power conflict, the transitioning of a new government for this human system. And now we have to put in the work. We have to prove the mind that we're no longer going to heed its instructions. And so we go through some austerities. When the time is right, the mind says, oh, I want that delicious steak dinner. We say, actually, I'm not going to eat for 3 days. And the mind goes, what? No, I am going to incessantly yell at you for the whole time. And you go, okay. I will put up with your yelling, O mind. But by the end of this, you are going to listen to me, not the other way around. And this is why we have a concept of spiritual discipline. That we meditate, we get a good diet, we exercise, we are kind, all for the purpose of allowing our mind to become an instrument of our boundless love that has been gatekept for so long. Thank you, your bro, for the rose you sent to. Dear Aminka. I hope if I can pronounce it better, please tell me. You had asked, but why, if the mind is within us and a part of us, then why we fight it? It's a good question. Yes, it is a part of us. To be technical, it's not actually in us. No, you're right, sorry. Yeah, it's within our experience, but there is something even deeper within our experience. And that's our true self as the consciousness. And you could say that to the consciousness, the mind appears as external. That's the way in which I was thinking, but I see the way in which you are right. But why do we fight with the mind? It's just a little game. It's not a serious fight. It's not like there's a loser. We just might use some provocative vocabulary. And you're right, there is room to use more endearing terms. However, I do also want to point out that it's the mind that's also going to be playing those games with us. that as we come to become its master, the mind will put up all sorts of defense mechanisms like, oh, little old me, I'm just your mind. You love me. I've only been good to you always. So we also have to recognize that the mind is capable of deceiving us. And so some amount of hesitation to agree by only loving terms is necessary to see past the guise that the mind puts up for us. But ultimately, it's all in good fun. It is the journey of life to understand itself. And this conflict that exists in the mind is not a life or death kind of conflict. Not one where there are losers and victors. It's really a fighting with a lover kind of relationship. From enemies to lovers is the arc of the mind. That we fight with it for as long as it's an enemy. But that fight soon becomes a tango, and before long you're dancing. And then you're asking to stay over. And what you're doing on Friday night. And now this being which you hated for so long now becomes your best friend. Something like that. Anyway. Thank you, Bobby Sue, for your heart me, your team bracelet, and cheer you up. Om Aum Saraswatyai Namaha. Dear Essie, you ask, what's my view on a hyperactive mind? This is gonna sound funny, but what's your diet like? Because one of the biggest influences on our mind is the kind of food we put in our body. In yogic thought, there are 3 types of food, and those 3 types of foods produce 3 types of minds. There's rajasic food that produces a hyperactive mind, tamasic food that produces a lethargic mind, and a sattvic food that produces a clear mind. So I'm going to guess that if you have a hyperactive mind, it's likely that your diet is high in rajasic food, which means that either you eat a lot of really spicy food, or you drink a lot of tea or other caffeinated beverages like coffee or energy drinks. And you eat a lot of onion or garlic too. These are the things we have to look out for when it comes to rajasic foods. That's a practical difference we could make in our life, is if we want a more clear mind, we can eat foods that are alternatives to those that I gave. Sattvic food. What food is for a clear mind? Food that is very tasty and is sweet. Food that is not overspiced. Food that is fresh. That is in the form of vegetables and fruit. Legumes are great. Rice, beans, nuts and seeds, and fresh vegetable oil as well, and seasonings that also come from plants like basil. All of these things can be considered sattvic and thus are responsible for a clear mind. Marcia, you ask about coriander. You know, I actually forget what that is. I suppose I can remind myself with a quick Google search. Oh yeah, corianders. Certainly sattvic. Also a low sodium diet. And making sure you're getting enough sweetness. And that's a really interesting and unique part of the yogic philosophy, is that sweetness is a very good thing. Of course, they had that written down before processed sugar and all sorts of terrible candy exists nowadays, but they were referring to the occasional sweet treat and fruits and juice. That sweetness is very good. Yeah, the right sugar is very wonderful in yoga. And so yogis have sweet teeth. If you feel like you have to worry about never eating something sweet again, like a cookie or a cupcake, well, don't worry. Plenty of room for sweet treats in the yogic diet. Very nice. What is to be let go of is more really salty or spicy foods, namely, and also food that has suffering associated with it. Thank you, dear July Moonchild, for your subscription. Dum Durgaye Namaha. I'm very happy to have you here always, and you let me know how I can be a better host for this space too. No spice, asks Angela. Oh, you're welcome to have spice. Just be very conservative with the amount of spice you use. Yeah, don't. Bland food is also considered tamasic, which is not sattvic. Bland food is not good. So you want nice, tasty food. Hello, Callistos. Radhe, Radhe. Thank you, dear Marcia, for your trio of roses too. Dum Durgaye Namaha. And dear Bay Apple, you share that Ramakrishna Paramahansa was enlightened, but he did eat flesh. It's true, and so did his foremost disciple, Swami Vivekananda, but they are exceptional and not the status quo, and even they preferred for their devotees to be lacto-vegetarians, even though they themselves may have eaten flesh from time to time. See, there is a story of teachers whom were said to have eaten and dranken things that they told their disciples not to do. There was once this great teacher whom would drink alcohol, and the students wondered how. If they are allowed to do it, why shouldn't we? They wondered what else their teacher got up to, so they followed their teacher all throughout their day after class. Indeed, they found that the rumors were true, that they would go to a liquor store and they would purchase ale and they'd drink it. And then they went to the bakery and they bought a big shepherd's pie and ate that. They thought, wow, our teacher, what a con man. He's breaking all the rules in the book. But it was the next encounter that changed their mind. Then the teacher went to a glass blower and took a pot of molten glass and drank that too. And then looked over at the students in the bushes and said, "If you can do that, I'll allow you to drink too." There was another lovely story of this guru who went into the river and swallowed how many fishes. And the students were watching like, "Guruji, you told us not to eat animals. Why are you eating fishes?" They proceeded to do it as well. They went into the river and plucked out fishes and ate them raw. But the next day, the guru showed what tricks he had up his sleeve, and he returned back to the river, and he leaned forward, and he threw up all of the fish, and they swam away. And he turned to his disciples again and said, "Your turn." See, you thought that I was eating these poor fishies, but actually I was protecting them from the flood that happened yesterday evening, which would have washed them away from their homeland, and they would have died when it all dried up this morning. Thank you, dear Salty Bobs, for your flowers and heart me. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Ideally, an enlightened being is beyond the material existence, and what they do is usually the beginning of a lesson. But it's us whom still struggle with material existence that should stay away from these things until we get there. Thank you, dear Anazek, for your finger heart too. Om Gang Ganapataye Namaha. Only as you correctly point out, it's hard nowadays to teach others, do as I say and not as I do. Yeah. These stories have certainly aged. And in the modern times, I think it's important to have teachers that walk the talk, as they say. And I hope that there's no excuse for any kind of harm being inflicted on another being for the sake of a lesson in this age. I think the current times call for a different approach. Good night, dear Jose. Dear Jay, you share that you've been dealing with drug addiction. From hard, you've quit, to alcoholism you've started. I think there might have been some words missing in that sentence, or I'm not sure, but I think I get the essence of your question. Almost nobody successfully quits any addiction on their first attempt. This is an unfortunate truth, because it likely means that anyone who wishes to begin their journey to quit will make a mistake. But it also means that it is completely understandable if or when you do. Because every time that happens, you learn something more about yourself. I wouldn't worry so much about having a perfect recovery, because that's a kind of idealism which is just not reasonable. It's going to be messy, because addiction is a mess itself. And until we finally sort everything out, there are going to be some challenging moments. It is a pretty ugly process, but it's also a beautiful one in many other ways. And I think it's beautiful to even make an attempt. That alone requires a lot of courage. And it's incredible how people around you can be supportive during that time, bring out the best in you. And I certainly have all my best wishes for you on your journey, no matter how many highs and lows come in between now and a time that you can say that you're free of this disease. But the least we can do as a society is not stigmatize it, because no one chooses to be addicted. It's no one's fault that they're using such mechanism to cope with whatever else may be going on in their life. Usually people do not turn to such things if they're already happy, which means that if we treat the underlying cause, the symptoms may go away too. I have found that with the depressants, like alcohol, they numb our mind. And why would we ever want to do that? When our mind is just so sensitive. And I think that's beautiful, that people have such sensitive minds. They are able to be so empathetic. Actually, I found that empaths are the most susceptible to drugs and alcohol, because their empathy for the suffering around them is just so direct that they feel the pain of everything in their life. No wonder that we turn to ways to suppress that sensitivity. But there are other ways. We can embrace that. We can learn to use that to bring more love and understanding in the world. We can create space between ourselves and our feelings, and understand the difference between our feelings and others, and the distinction between circumstance and reaction. And these are all things that happen naturally as we embark on this spiritual quest. So I encourage you to practice some sadhana, even if it's just starting your day with a meditation or a prayer, anything to get the ball moving. And in any way that I can, I hope to be with you along the way. So you're welcome to use this space to connect with others and express where you are. And in the same way, I hope others here confide in you and learn from you in your journey too. Best wishes. And how you. Thank you for your heart, me too. Radhe Krishna. You're the only S. You had asked, what can you say to your aunt who is trying to quit cigarettes? She is discouraged. Well, the most we can do is provide love for her in the space of her withdrawal. Because in that absence, so many negative thoughts creep back into the mind, and if we can affirm that there is so much joy and beauty in the world to be found beyond these temporary pleasures. We provide them with distraction. That's really important, that we do activities with those who are going through withdrawal, because it's going to be a lot easier to wait out the withdrawal symptoms when you're in a park with friends, or watching a movie together, or even having a conversation, than it would be just them sitting on a chair somewhere thinking about whether they should or shouldn't, alone. In any way in which you can be with them during those low moments, that's the most we can do. The least we can do is not judge them for where they're at right now, because ironically, judgment is one of the reasons that many of us turn to such substances. And acceptance and love, even for our faults and imperfections, are beautiful parts of the beginning of our sobriety. Thank you, dear Samra, for the shooting stars that you sent. I'm very grateful that I have such a wonderful community here. Thank you. And may we wish upon a shooting star that you have provided for us, dear Samra. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The only S you asked, did you miss show and tell? Well, maybe live, but the recording of which I will upload to my YouTube channel. Dear Pepin, you were wondering what my pronouns are. Well, the pronouns that I use every day are I, and me, and mine. My personal pronouns. First person. But to you, they are you and yours. The second person pronoun. But when I'm not in the room, and you're talking to a third person, my third person pronouns are whatever you choose to use, since I'm not there. If to you I am masculine, you're welcome to use he and him. To you I am feminine, you are welcome to use she and her. But if you don't like the choice, you're welcome to just use he and him, as I am born in the body of a male. And I love my body. Thank you, dear Violet. The only S you asked, did I play your music for my show and tell? Not yet. Today I did see you submit something, and thank you for that. Next time we will. This time was Dear Angels, Green Eggs and Yam. Thank you. Okay, it's Believe in Me, Jackie, for your finger heart. Ram Ram. What time do I usually do show and tell, so you know to join? Usually around the beginning, about an hour and a half ago. But I tell you what, if you would prefer for me to wait until you're there, I will wait until the next time you're there to do your show and tell. Thank you, dear Violet. Thank you. Okay, it's Believe in Me, Jackie. And it's very, very right of you to point out, dear Sheila, that words have limitations. But you know what else has limitations? Artists. In whatever they do, and yet it brings out the most out-of-the-box thinking and creative expression And so I love the limitations of words because it does the same thing for us, and it forces us to be artisans of speech, using our language for creative expression. Dear angel, you share that limitations is what creates the physical in a way. Absolutely. In fact, that's almost the definition of the physical universe. Could you imagine if there was no start and stop to my body? If my body was infinite in all directions, it had no boundary between what's on the inside and what's on the outside. Oh, what a grotesque existence that would be. In order for us to coexist, there must be enough space for both of us. There must be space in between us for us to express ourselves individually. That limitation is what gives rise to all this diversity. In Sanskrit, it's called an upadhi, which has a beautiful connotation. It means a condition put on that one to appear as many. Upadhi, that our true nature is one, but that unity has undergone conditions through which it appears as many. And we get to experience the diversity of possibility one by one within everyone. Dear Becca, you ask, what is my favorite revelation about this current universe/existence? My favorite revelation is that you're in it with me. Nice to not be alone. It's nice that there is so many points of consciousness to express itself, but yet all of it comes from the same source. That's a favorite of mine. The only S you shared. Just to confirm, you said yes to me waiting for your show and tell. Okay, thank you. Greetings, dear Lex. Now I think it's a good time to begin our closing segments of our live stream. Slowly but surely. I'm not one to take the plane from flying altitude to the ground just like that. We have to acclimatize to the different air pressures without turbulence, smoothly landing. So we'll go through them together. Dear Muratid, I really would love to learn to pronounce your name in an authentic way for you. Muratid is oficial. Thank you for your rose. Arium Tatsa. And dear native girl, thank you for your harpme. Jai Sitaram. Saturnus, thank you for your harpme and 37 team bracelets and a pair of cherry ups. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm going to reveal the question of the day, which is, what is something wonderful that you see possible for you in the near future? And while you think of that, I'll do a rapid fire for the questions that were just asked. Yams, you ask, have I ever experienced ego death? You know, try as you might, it's really hard to kill that thing. But I've learned that actually it's my best friend and not something I ever wish to die. The only S, you had asked, how do we get kids to do what is told when they refuse to listen? More than just compassion. I think the compassionate thing to do is understand that they don't have to do what is told, because these are just made up rules by adults, and the last thing we want to do for children is limit their free will. And dear Pulse Demon, I'm sorry to hear that you are feeling stressed out. You're welcome to use this space to de-stress, and I hope that you take advantage of my inboxes, modes of contact like my Instagram, WhatsApp. I'm always happy to get back to messages that I may be unable to attend to here. Dear Angel, your answer to our question of the day is happiness. But that doesn't need to be in the future only, as it's in the now too. I love that. Happiness is definitely something that extends throughout all of time. May our happiness be the beginning of everything that is to come. Dear Becca, you can relate with your ego dying several times and learns a new thing every time. Always an eternal rebirth. I would like to be on tomorrow. Okay, it's Believe in Me, Jackie. My grandparents are in town. If they decide that I'm doing something with them, that takes priority. And dear Lex, you share that stepping outside of your comfort zone is something wonderful you see possible for you in the near future. To step further into your power. I love that. I love that a lot. Dear Saturnus, you share complete control over your feelings, vibration. TUFA, not sure what this acronym stands for. Control, actions, reactions, state, reality, destiny. Those are beautiful words, and certainly give you my best wishes in understanding our emotions, our feelings, whilst also giving them freedom to express themselves beyond our control. What are my YouTubes? Again asks, okay, it's Believe in Me, Jackie. My YouTube, where I upload all of these lives and the snippets from it, is called Yamsox Lives. Just the same as my username, with another word, Lives, Lives. It's also linked in the link tree in my bio, in case you just want to tap your way there. The only S, you share that in the near future you see yourself with your girlfriend in person and spending weeks together. That's lovely. I pray for this possibility for you. Dear Cody Jane, thank you for that heart me you sent a minute ago. Pardon me. Violet, you share that you are hoping to take the tragedy of your home burning down as a way to restart, refresh, etc. I'm happy that you found such light in such a dark experience. May you find home wherever you go, and may everything lovely always come with you. I am sorry to hear that for you too. Dear okay, it's Believe in Me, Jackie, you share that you hope you have a future. Never guaranteed, now is it? But long as we are here in this moment, we can pave the way for a better tomorrow. If not for ourselves, then everyone else in it. Lord, you see vacation is possible. I am happy to hear that. Dear Summer, you share the possibility of healing relationship with your beautiful daughters. I love that. Sometimes those we are closest to, we require the most healing with. And okay, it's Believe in Me, Jackie. You see the possibility of your future being stress-free for once and back to work soon, as you are tired of being isolated. Certainly see these possibilities for you. Dear Bay Apple, you're hoping to have 1 million in less than 5 years. 1 million, well, like a genie, I'm going to point out your specific word choice since you left out the unit. I hope that you have 1 million forehead kisses within the next 5 years. Since you didn't specify. Sunflower Dream Haze, you share a hug. I like that. I think you can safely expect a hug. Dear Doom Knight, you think healing your neck is possible deep down, but on the surface you're lying. Sometimes on the surface we have the most prominent doubts, but deep down we have faith and trust that anything is possible. It's beautiful, dear Gio. Through a man's ego, the world can break his will, but no one can break what was already laid down. That is very powerful. Told of love, your answer is that you see yourself finding your path without worrying anymore that it must be at the expense of others. That's beautiful. Let this be the first day in the rest of our life. Dear Melinda, you share that you're visiting the farm you volunteer at in October and you are so excited. I love that for you. I think farming is one of the most wholesome human activities. Dear Cody Jane, you see the possibility of taking steps to keep your body healthy while you're sick. Absolutely. I love how you point out that health is possible even during sickness. A different kind of health. Dear Kev, good night, sweet dreams. Thank you for being here. Thank you, dear Bree. Zime, you're looking forward to really understand. Understanding is always possible now, isn't it? Good night. Goodbye, dear Anisek. Thank you for being here too. Rainbolt Mom, you see the possibility of the healthy, joyous birth of your first grandchild, which is due in May. I love that. Oh, how wonderful it is to experience the expression of life in such youthful eyes again, reflecting back on us. Okay, it's Believe in Me, Jackie. You'll take those million forehead kisses. Million? That's almost 1 trillion. Faithful being, you see your health and your tummy getting better. Way better. Oh, good. I'm happy you can see that. Angela, you see new beginnings, new experiences. Dear Loves the Way, you share that you could put on your opera gown and see a friend of yours playing violin on stage. Health, wealth, prosperity, all that, and your opera gown at a violin concerto. That's the possibility you want. And oh my god, that's so much better than just an opera gown at a concert. Well, I love how you see so many different possibilities available for you. ACJ, you see being true in yourself and strong in that after a release of negativity. Powerful. Kirby B, you find difficulty in this question of the day, but you guess you look forward to what will be born from the emptiness in you. I'm so happy to hear that, dear Kirby B. Let's pause our question of the day there for now. Thank you for exploring the possibilities in our futures together. Lex, you added to that, not chickening out when it comes to stopping outside your comfort zone. And Troy Jacob, you see transcending to a new level of knowing yourself and sharing yourself with the world. All of those possibilities, my salutations. I believe all of these things are possible for you. But thank you, love's the way. Now, I would like to conclude with a short reading of The Hidden Power in Humans. And then I promised I'd do a guided meditation at the end of this live stream, so we'll end with that after. We've gone through the whole of the contents of this book. We just have yet to finish up reading about the spiritual lineage of the author for posterity. Our author is Vishwa Guruji, which in my opinion looks like a young Santa, doesn't he? Very happy. He is the guru of this great being named Paramahans Swami Madhavananda, whom is photographed here. He looks like a blissful Mr. Potato Head. Let's learn about him. Paramahans Swami Madhavananda was the spiritual successor of Sri Mahaprabhuji, which we read about last time. And in his homeland of India and throughout the whole world was revered by his disciples of yoga in daily life as their spiritual grandmaster and is lovingly called Holy Guruji. Paramahans Swami Madhavananda lived at Sri Mahaprabhuji's side for more than 20 years and wrote down his satsangs, his spiritual assemblies, and bhajans, devotional songs. We must be thankful to him that Sri Mahaprabhuji's wonderful songs, his guru songs, and enlightening words have been preserved. He was also the author of the biographies of Sri Mahaprabhuji and his guru's guru, which is Sri Dev Puriji, that appear under the title of Lila Amrut, which was referenced often throughout this book as well. He describes the function of an ashram and the duty of a swami, of a monastery and a monk in the Hindu tradition as the ashram of a swami is a type of hospital, and the swami is the doctor who treats the diseases of passion, anger, acquisitiveness, greed, hate, jealousy, worries, and complexities. The ashram is a school for the spirit, and the swami is the teacher. They teach human dharma, righteous duty, spiritual realization, and knowledge of the self. The ashram is a spiritual court of justice, and the swami is the judge. They assess the truth and untruth in the life of each person who comes to them. They see the law of karma clearly and indicate the path by which one is able to escape from the prison of life and death. The ashram is not an ordinary place. It is a center of spiritual liberation. It is a great mistake that most people consider the science of spirituality of lesser value than medical or technical achievements, for in reality, it is more important by far. The spiritual doctor opens the inner eye so that one can see God. They open the inner ears so that God's voice can be heard. They bestow strong arms and legs to our faith so that it is capable of climbing to the summit of supreme consciousness. They cure many diseases of the soul and sometimes also the body that no one else is able to heal. The spiritual engineer levels the road that connects the individual with the cosmic self. They erect the bridge of truth across the broad river of ignorance. With inspiring words, the Swami can raise the minds of humanity and enable them to fly to God. With their spiritual powers, they are able to see past, present, and future, and travel to any part of the universe. How beautiful. Inspired by the grace and divine mercy of his master, Paramahans Swami Madhavananda tried to help people wherever he could. He also involved himself in social work and was committed to the preservation of the ethical values of Vedic culture and religion, known in Sanskrit as the Sanatana Dharma. He spread the message of Sri Mahaprabhuji throughout the whole of India and worked for the well-being of the entire world through prayer and meditation. And on the 31st of October, that's Halloween, 2003, Paramahans Sri Swami Madhavananda attained Mahasamadhi, where he left his body and became one with the cosmos. He was laid to rest at Om Vishwadeep Gurukul Maheshwarananda Ashram in the village of Jadan, the Pali district, according to the Sannyasin tradition of renunciants. More than 50,000 devotees paid their respects throughout the traditional period of mourning in the presence of thousands of sadhus, spiritual seekers, sannyasins, monks, and His Holiness Shankaracharya Ji of Sumeru Peeth. And with that, we have now learned about the tradition, the Guru Parampara, of which our author resides. Finally, a little bit about our author. Vishwaguru Mahamandaleshwar Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda. He is the successor of, as we just spoke of, Paramahans Swami Madhavananda Ji. He has lived in Vienna since 1972, where he founded the International Shri Deep Madhavananda Ashram, and the first of the Yoga in Daily Life societies, which was soon followed by numerous sister societies worldwide. Under Swamiji's leadership, there are now hundreds of yoga groups in Western and Central Europe, the United States of America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and India. Swamiji does not limit himself to teaching only yoga. Wherever he goes, he teaches people to understand and love themselves and others, and helps them to realize the sense and purpose of their life. His message is understanding, respect, and tolerance between nations, cultures, and religions, non-violence, protection of nature and the environment, and a vegetarian lifestyle. In this homeland of India, he has initiated several humanitarian projects in the health and educational systems, such as the Jnana Putra project that supports the children of impoverished families, and in this way enables their attendance at school. Current projects are the construction of hospitals and schools for girls in inadequately provisioned rural areas, as well as the building and establishment of a university for Ayurveda, which is the holistic school of health surrounding the Vedas, naturopathy, and yoga. Swamiji has been and is still being recognized and acknowledged worldwide by statesmen, scientists, doctors, and dignitaries from different religions, and for his decades of committed humanitarian and spiritual work, and also his unceasing efforts for the health and welfare of human beings and nature, for the protection of the environment and world peace. For his service to the science of yoga and the promotion of physical, mental, social, and spiritual health for humans, he has been awarded the honorary titles of Doctor of Yoga and Professor of the Spiritual Science of Yoga. In 1999, Swamiji was ordained as Mahamandaleshwar of Mahanirvani Aghar order, and is therefore one of the highest dignitaries in the Hindu order of Swamis. The teachings of Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda are based on the clear and pure message of Sri Mahaprabhuji. Spiritual teachers and yoga aspirants are led towards self-realization in accordance with the spirit of his teachings, and of Bhagwan Shri Deep Narayan Mahaprabhuji in his guidance. So thank you for listening, everyone. We've now officially concluded this book. There are just some appendices which have some tables concerning cosmology according to yoga. I won't read through them, but I will hold them up to the screen in case you wanted to take a screenshot them or look back at the recording, which I will upload. Just gotta make sure I get it in frame for you. This is the first table, which concerns what exactly? Overview of the attributes of the chakras, and maybe it would fit better this way, even though it's on an angle. Probably more HD. You just have to turn your devices. There's this table too. I'm showing you all this for the sake of completion. In case you were curious about some of these subtler topics. Their table here. So that those who watch the recording of this may find it of use. Alright. We will be starting a new book next time, but thank you, dear Usha Bai, for sending this lovely book from your Guruji. I am very grateful that we got to read such an auspicious text straight from an authentic lineage of yogis of the Himalayas. I love exploring such traditions. And thank you everyone for coming along with me on the journey to uncover the hidden power in humans on the subject of chakras and kundalini. Namaste. So we've come to our concluding portion of the live stream, and I would just like to end with a guided meditation. I do have another book planned, and I think you will very much enjoy the next book that we are going to read, but it'll be a bit of a secret. I'll have to share next time. Thank you, dear Jeffrey, for the heart me that you shared too. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Today I'd like to end with a short guided meditation on Atma Vichara, which is self-inquiry as coined by the great Ramana Maharshi, a mystic of the 20th century, perhaps the 19th century. It's been a long time, but not that long. He would often ask his disciples to just ask questions concerning the self repeatedly until the self revealed itself to the self. Questions such as, who am I? What am I? The highest level, and to whom do these questions occur to? We'll start by getting our body in a comfortable position where we do not feel it is needed to make constant adjustments. The purpose of a meditation posture is that It's one in which the body should complain the least. So do not try to force your body into any uncomfortable position, as that goes contrary to the purpose of meditation. It's just putting your body in a place where it's not going to distract us as the meditators. But perhaps that provides us a good place to start on the subject of the body. This meditation concerns the seer and the seen. The object of sight we call the seen, and the subject of sight we call the seer. We'll actually begin with our eyes open with an object in our surroundings. Doesn't matter what it is, but anything can be used. I'm going to use this bowl. In the practice of sight, I simply ask the question, who is the seer and who is the seen? Am I the one seeing this bowl? Or am I the one being seen by the bowl? Now, it's not a trick question, though we can absolutely explore the nature of how we are one with the object of sight. The purpose of this meditation is supposed to be entirely rational, as a logical means of attaining self-realization. That clearly, I am the one seeing the bowl, and the bowl is the one being seen. And we go from there. It's true because it's true. There is not necessarily any inherent reasoning for why we've come to the conclusion, because it's not a conclusion, it's a starting point for where we're about to head. But there's a natural knowingness that comes with the experience of the seer and the seen, that what we see is separate from the one doing the seeing. And we'll follow that separation until we get to the self. It does not feel like we are being seen by this bowl. But we certainly are seeing the bowl. And therefore this bowl must be something separate from us. Because if we imagine that we were the bowl, how could we possibly be seeing ourselves outside of ourselves? How can there be a separation, a kind of space between ourselves and another part of ourselves? That somehow intuitively we know that whatever we are, it must be whole, that it is one. And so with that feeling of oneness within, we recognize the bowl is not ourself. It is the seen, and we are the seer. And I can put the bowl down now. But now we ask the question, what is doing the seeing? And of course, the answer is our eyes. Our eyes are the seer of the seen. But are we the eyes? And this is where it gets more challenging. We can ask the exact same questions we did with the bowl, but instead of the bowl, now we use our eyes. Are the eyes the seen or the seer? Well, they were the seer of the bowl as the seen, but now the object of our attention is the eye itself. Are we aware of the eyes, Or are the eyes aware of us? It might be more helpful to use other words besides seer and seen now. Although seer and seen can certainly be used as metaphors, here we're talking in a much more general sense of awareness. Are we aware of our eyes, or are our eyes aware of us? In the same way, there is a distinct space between ourself and the bowl. There is a distinct space between ourself and our eyes. Even though it feels like we're right there, at the origin of sight, actually even sight is something that occurs to us as seen. That the organ of seeing is a part of the sight. Now, to the eye, it might not be able to see itself, but to us, as the witness of the eye from within, we experience its sight as separate from us. Therefore, we must not be our eyes. We can close them now. So to whom do the eyes occur? Clearly to the bowl, it occurs to our eyes. But to whom do the eyes occur? That would be the mind. Our mind is capable of seeing, so to speak, the eyes, but a different kind of sight. Still a kind of awareness, perception. The mind perceives the eyes. The mind is capable of thinking about thoughts. Therefore, the eyes become the seen, and the mind becomes the seer. What is the mind? To whom does it occur to? Are we the mind? Again, we ask the question, are we aware of our mind? Or is our mind aware of us? And again, not a trick question. It should be obvious. In the most simplest sense, we are aware of our minds. We perceive its thoughts. Clearly, we are aware of the mind. Is it aware of us? We wouldn't be doing this meditation if it was. The mind may think about itself. But that self occurs only to it as just another thought which it is thinking, which categorically makes us as something distinct from the mind. The mind is only aware the idea of the self that appears through it in the form of the senses, including the eyes. The mind is only aware of a kind of self that comes from the world before it, but behind it, the mind is not aware. But you are. Therefore, the mind is something distinct from us, since it is a part of our awareness, and not the other way around. So the mind is the seen, but who is its seer? You could say, I am. But who is that I? Who is this I that is the knower of the mind? Indeed, the I is the seer of the mind, and the mind is the seen. But what is this I? Are we truly that I? To whom does even this I occur to? This sense of self, higher than the mind, still within our experience. Is this I a part of our awareness, or are we a part of it? You may feel as you play around with your very own self that even you are separate from this I. This I that is always calling itself by many names. I am blonde. I am brunette. I am male. I am female. I am smart. I am dumb. I am Canadian. I like maple syrup. I. To whom does that I occur to? What is that I? From where has it come from? And who is the knower of this I? Since we are talking about that very I, clearly the answer cannot be I or me or mine. There is something, therefore, even beyond your sense of self. And that is the true self. One cannot even call that your true self or my true self, because whatever you have arrived at is the same for me as it is for you. To whom do our eyes occur to? And that's I like the letter. Is an awareful witness of consciousness that has no shape or form and cannot be known by any name. There is just awareness. I am. Thank you for listening. Now we're going to end our live stream there for now. Thank you for listening. I hope that meditation was insightful for you. As always, this recording will be uploaded to my Yamsox Live's YouTube channel. And the meditations and readings will be found there too. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Thank you, dear David, for the rose you sent earlier too, and Dob Darker for the heartbeat. Dear S333, thank you for that rose. And Neat Pink Shark, thank you for your quintet of tiny dinies. Yippee! Vivian, thank you for your paper crane. Radhe Radhe. And dear Becca, thank you for your rose. Namaste.